So I can't be the only one who remembers when James Charles hosted his own reality TV show back in 2020 called Instant Influencer, right? I remember tuning in back then because the release timing was really, really good for the show because it was released during quarantine, you know, we had nothing to do. So of course I tuned in. I was just like going about my day like 2 days ago, and I remember like, oh yeah, James Charles literally had a show in like 2020. What happened to it? You know, where are the contestants now? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to give like a kind of like a mini recap of the show, where the contestants are now, why James Charles is no longer the host of the show anymore, which I'll get to at the end. Instant Influencer was a competition reality show hosted by James Charles, who is a beauty YouTuber and makeup artist. He was a very prominent figure in the beauty community from like 2016 to like 2019, but he's also very infamous because he's gotten into a lot of controversy, which I'll get to at the end because it kind of ties into the show and why he allegedly isn't hosting it anymore. Instant Influencer came about in 2019. James Charles hosted auditions. He was looking for like the next instant influencer. The winner of this competition will go home with a full lighting and videography equipment package just like the one James Charles had at home at the time, valued at $10,000. They would also win a collaboration with James Charles on his channel and a cash prize of $50,000. It was produced and sponsored by YouTube Originals. They paid for the production, marketing, distribution. So this was definitely a big deal because not a lot of YouTubers get a show produced and sponsored by YouTube Originals. The show was shot in the YouTube space in Los Angeles. I'm not gonna lie, I did enjoy watching the show while it was airing. I watched it in real time because it had good pacing, it had good production. Yeah, everything about it was just like good. It wasn't like bad, you know, like not like those like crappy reality TV shows. Like this one was actually pretty decent for a YouTube show, and it was also free to watch. So we're now going to get into the contestants. So the first contestant is Christian Perez, aka Indigo. He's 18 years old from Los Angeles, California. He moved to Los Angeles after his dad got deported, which resulted in him getting homeless in 2019. He knew Los Angeles was the place to be to get further in his career as an influencer. And after he moved to LA, he kind of like built up this strong kind of like schedule of like just like posting, editing, doing makeup. Like he was really determined to really make his career as an influencer in LA. As like a side note, I'm just now realizing how young a lot of them really were. Like I don't know why, for some reason it's like they said their ages, but like since I was so much younger, I thought they were like grown, you know, I thought they were like much older than they were. So the next contestant we have is Gabriel Dreams. He's 21 years old. He lives in Los Angeles, California. He didn't have the best childhood growing up. He was in foster care, so he saw art as a way to connect with his inner child. He came on the show to show others that your past does not define you. So the third contestant we have is Kaylin Chase. She's 24 years old. She lives in Denver, Colorado. Growing up, she was the quote-unquote ugly duckling, but she went from that to being extremely persevering and ambitious. She found her power through makeup and wants to inspire others to do the same as well. The next contestant we have is Benny Sarah. He's 18 years old. He's from Carbondale, Pennsylvania. Growing up, Benny felt like he couldn't really be himself, but makeup was the thing that really made him break out of his shell and be himself. On the show, they kind of like put these like video reels of like the contestants, and like the video they put for him, like the third video was so unserious. Like he literally did the meme. They did him so dirty. I don't know if he sent that. I'm pretty sure like you send the videos you want them to use, which I hope, because that's a setup right there. Alright, let me stop bragging on him, okay? So the fifth contestant we have is Ashley Strong, aka Strash Me. She's 20 years old and she's from Alaska. She was a teen mom at 16 years old, which came with a lot of challenges. Her motivation for entering the competition was a desire to succeed for both her and her son. And the last contestant we have is Brittany Renteria, aka Brittany Raquel. She's 25 years old from Texas. Growing up, she used to get teased for wearing too much makeup. People used to make fun of her saying she looked like a clown, but that actually motivated her to wear even more makeup. She moved out when she was 15 and had 2 full-time jobs just trying to make it. So those are all the contestants. Like I said, this is a competition show, so there are judges on each episode. Of course, James is one of the judges. Norvina is also another judge, and the third judge changes every episode. So for each episode of the show, they had a mini challenge and then the main challenge. The mini challenge, the winner would get an advantage in the main challenge. And of course, in episode 1, we got an introduction to the cast, but they also had to do a mini challenge at home before they came on the show. The mini challenge they had to do was create a makeup look that represents them as an artist and a person. So I'm also gonna be kind of like judging the looks, not like really harsh. I'm just gonna be like give like playful little criticism here and there, so don't take it seriously. I don't hate any of these people. I'm just giving my own opinion. I have nothing against them. The show was like so long ago. So I'm gonna start off with Benny's look. So Benny's look was a mixture of Japanese cherry blossoms and a scenery with mountains. He did this look because the mountains remind him of his father, and his mother lived in Japan, and this represents the future that is ahead of him. He comes from a small town where there's nothing to do and felt like he would always be stuck there. But now that he's on the show, he realizes that he has a chance and is very excited. It was really good, like it looked really good, but it just didn't represent who he was as a person. He mostly represented his parents, which they do play in a part of who you are or grew up to be. I feel like it was just representation of where his parents were from, not really who he is. So now let's move on to Gabriel's look. So Gabriel did a earth and skull to represent how people need to do as much as we can to save the animals and nature that we have before it's too late. So my critique on this, the white contacts were no. I don't know why he did that because it doesn't really make any sense. I guess it's to be like a part of like the skull, but I don't know, it just made him look possessed. I'm sorry. I also feel like it didn't really have anything to do with him as a person, because you can care about nature, but that doesn't really reflect on who you are as a person. It obviously shows that you care about the environment, but that doesn't really show who you are or what you stand for outside of your activism. So let's move on to Indigo's look. Like I said, he was homeless for some time in 2019 because his dad got deported. So to symbolize his dark past, he wanted to put that into a mask, and in his face is an orchid symbolizing a brighter future ahead of him. Like the eyeshadow, the color scheme, and just like the pink splatters on his face. Now I don't think he needed the mask. So now we're going to move on to Kaylin's look. So her look reflected how she wanted people to know who she is. She's gone through so much in her life. She's been a vivacious person. She wants to encourage people. Her biggest weakness is that she talks too much. Even she admits this in her confessional. I just don't really like that look. I think that's probably like my least favorite look. So now we're going to move on to Ashley's look. So her look was ink blot inspired. The message was about mental health because she became a mom at 16, which came with a lot of challenges. The message was good. Her being a mom does represent who she is. So now we're going to move on to Britney's look. Britney did a bubbly look where she just like put bubbles like on her face, just representing how bubbly she is, her personality. Her look was very simple, and I feel like she was just trying to be safe. I just feel like she could have done a lot more. My favorite looks are Indigo and Ashley because of the message and design. So Ashley won the challenge, which gives her an advantage in the main challenge. So that was the mini challenge. So now we're going to move on to the main challenge. So the main challenge was to test their ability to sell products. For this challenge, they had a Ultra Beauty closet where the contestants would go in and pick one makeup item to do a marketing campaign around. They had to plan, film, and edit their own short commercial around their makeup product. The challenge was to show their personality and ability to sell products. And this challenge was significant because it was the first ever elimination challenge. They had 3 hours to plan, film, and edit their commercials. So like I said, James or Norvita didn't come like the permanent judge. So this week's guest judge was Paris Hilton. She had the first selection because she was the winner of the mini challenge. She picked the blue ColourPop volumizing mascara. Indigo picked the Anastasia Beverly Hills foundation. Benny picked the KKW contouring stick. Gabriel picked the James Charles palette, which I felt like was kind of just like sucking up. But hey, I mean, it's a competition. You gotta get brownie points somehow. Brittany picked the Ofra highlighter, and Kaylin picked the Real Technique beauty sponge. So Benny's commercial, his video was good. He displayed the product very well, but I don't know why it felt like he was scared or nervous on the video. Just something I picked up. Britney's commercial, so the camera angle and her mentioning other brands was where she messed up. You never mention other brands when you're trying to promote another product, but in this case, your product. She also did a mistake being the first one done editing. She did this because she thought her finishing early would make James see it as a good thing. It's like, girl, this is a competition. You're supposed to take time and actually perfect your craft. She really screwed up. Also, this just wasn't a good look for her. Because if you remember on the mini challenge, James felt like her look was simple and he wanted to see more of her. So why would you be the first one to be done when James said he wants to see more of you? So Kayla's commercial, her video was one of my favorites. She had the saleswoman's voice going on. It's sad how she wasn't confident about her video because her video was one of the best. So Gabriel's commercial, his video was kind of monotone. It didn't really show his personality or make the palette look exciting. Like I said, I just feel like he just picked the palette to suck up to James. Did y'all catch Novina's stain face, or is it just me? So Ashley's commercial, the infamous "I'm bursting with excitement." I'm just kidding. But aside from that, the video was good. The B-roll was good as well. Her lack of personality didn't make the product look fun or like wanting you to run to the next altar to go get it. So now we're gonna move on to Indigo. His humor made the video funny and enjoyable to watch. This is very important because if you want to sell a product, you want to make you and your product interesting because it's your product at the end of the day. It's always gonna be associated with you, so you need to shine through your product. I know Paris Hilton was there for comedic relief, but like she literally did not give any criticism. She was just like there, like just like complimenting them, which I feel like was a good comedic relief because not everything needs to be serious all the time. My favorite video was definitely Kaylin and Indigo. Kaylin's video was very professional while Indigo's was very enjoyable and humorous. The winner of the challenge was Kaylin, which I felt like is deserved because her video While Ashley was more professional, technically, because she added the B-roll, her personality just wasn't in it. Whereas Caitlyn, her personality was in the video, and also she was very, very professional. So like I said, this was the first ever elimination round. So the person who got eliminated was Brittany, which I'm not really mad about because her video was just all over the place, and her finishing that early, it definitely made her look bad. Like, it definitely put a bad taste in James' mouth because he said he wanted to see more of her. Just a quick comment. So on the show, they had this like teleprompter where it's like you could see other contestants like during the elimination. When people get eliminated, you can know if you're safe and who's not safe, and then it cuts down when there's 2 people left on the screen. So it's kind of just like you're guessing like, oh, am I gonna get eliminated or are they gonna get eliminated? That is so evil. So like I said, Brittany got eliminated, and wow, I thought the teleprompter was evil. So while the people who get eliminated, James would make them do like a sign off. Like, you know how you sign off of a YouTube video? He would make them do that one. They're literally like in tears crying after they just got news that they got eliminated. So that was episode 1. So now we're going to move on to episode 2. So this episode starts off with James going to the contestants' hotel and waking them up for the first mini challenge of the episode. First mini challenge of this episode, they had to get ready as if they were going to the red carpet event, but in 30 minutes. This is the start of when the contestants are interacting with each other, which I like because you get to see the different dynamics between the contestants. Let's start off with Caitlin's look. Caitlin's look, to me, it was good, but there were some flaws. The eyeliner made her eyes pop, but the foundation was cakey and the eyelashes were too big for her eyes. They almost distracted me from the eyeshadow and eyeliner. I also like how she took her own advice and stopped rambling. Indigo's look was colorful and simple. So for Benny, the pink eyeshadow was definitely a good choice because it made his eyes stand out, but the eyelashes were popping off. But he did justify this by saying he has an eye condition where his eyes water. Highlighter and contour was a little bit intense because if he was at a red carpet event, the flashes wouldn't do him justice. Let's move on to Ashley's look. The contour was not doing her any justice. It was great. Let's move on to Gabriel's look. His look was similar to Ashley and Indigo, but his was a circle around the eyes. He messed up because he has hooded eyes, and when he opens his eyes, you can't see the top half of the circle, only the bottom half. My favorite looks were Indigo and Ashley's. It was simple and clean. Ashley won today's mini compact challenge again, which means he has an advantage in the main challenge, aka the elimination challenge. So the main challenge for this episode was drag. Trixie Mattel then walks in as the guest judge of this episode. Since Ashley won the first mini challenge, she got an advantage in the main challenge. Trixie coached and gave inputs on how she should do her drag look. So there was kind of like some drama that happened in this episode because, like I said, this is when the cast started to interact with each other. So basically the drama that happened in this episode was Benny wanted the pink wig. He expressed his idea with the contestant, which was a bad idea. You're not supposed to tell people. I feel like he kept forgetting that this is a competition. This is not like a teacup party where you just like shake hands with everybody. Like, this is a competition, you're supposed to be serious, you know? So he basically blabbed his ideas to the other contestants, what wig he wanted, what look he was going to do, and that's where he messed up because Indigo ended up getting the wig first from him anyway, which made Benny mad because he then had to change the look he originally wanted to do. Gabriel's look was based on his drag persona called Unity, which is an intergalactic, not from this type of world. And to be honest, I don't know how I feel about this look because I definitely like the cat eye details he drew on his face, but the wig just throws the whole look off. Like, it looks like a granny wig. Like, I don't know, is that just me who thinks that? Like, it looks like a grandma wig. I just feel like the wig and the look just didn't go together. Caitlin's look reminded me of strawberry shortcake for some reason. I think because of the green and the pink. So now let's move on to Ashley's look. She had this blue extraterrestrial look. It kind of reminded me of Avatar. I also really like her hair because she did express feelings of like she was nervous because of how she was gonna do her hair, but I'm glad she ended up getting that resolved. So Indigo kind of did this sad anime girl look, which I feel like it didn't really make any sense because anime and drag are two completely different aesthetics, so you can't really mix them together. It just didn't really mesh well together. So yeah, that was definitely one of my least favorite looks. Benny did a look based on one of the dolls he had in his collection. The look didn't really do it for me. It looked like a Barbie doll inspired makeup look and not really drag. My favorite looks were Caitlyn and Ashley won this challenge. So the person that went home this episode was Indigo, which I felt was kind of karma for how he did Benny and the whole wig situation. So now we're going to move on to episode 3. So this episode starts off with James coming out super dramatic, mad with the contestants. and it was so cringe. And he did all this because the mini challenge of this episode was to make an apology video. They gave each contestant a scenario of where they got canceled, so they had to make an apology for the scenario that they got. Gabriel's apology, it felt very sincere, probably the most sincere out of everybody's. Benny's apology was so dramatic. He was crying, mascara running down his face. Ashley's apology was good and mature. Kaylin's apology, it was good at the start, but then she ran out of time. My favorite apology video was definitely Gabriel's. It felt sincere and serious. So the winner of the challenge was Benny, which I'm very shocked because Gabriel's video was like the most mature out of all of them. So this specific challenge caused a lot of controversy on social media because a lot of people felt like it was kind of just like making a joke out of apology videos, because typically people who do apology videos, especially YouTubers, is because they did something very, very serious. It kind of felt like he was trying to say that YouTubers or influencers don't actually mean their apology videos, that they just fake it. Since Benny won this challenge, he has an advantage in the main challenge. So we get to the main challenge, and this challenge was about collaborating with other YouTubers. This was kind of like a crossover episode because the people who the contestants were going to make YouTube videos with were James Charles' friends, who were big name YouTubers such as Nikita Dragon, Bretman Rock, Louis Life, and Nima Tang. So since Benny won the mini challenge, he got to pair up one YouTuber with another contestant. He paired up Bretman Rock for himself because he said he's been watching Bretman Rock for years, Gabriel with Nima, Nikita with Ashley, and Louis with Caitlyn. My thoughts on the picks, I feel like he played nice and put everyone who had similar personalities together, even though this is a competition. Like I said, I feel like Benny keeps forgetting that this is a competition. You're not supposed to play nice in a competition because, I mean, there's really $50,000 on the line. So today's guest alongside James and Orvina was Lipstick Nick. So let's start off with Bretman and Benny. The thumbnail was funny. I would definitely click on it. To be honest, I feel like Bretman definitely did overshadow him in this video. And no, I'm not just saying that because Bretman is the more known of them. It's just he started off the video with Bretman having makeup on while he didn't have makeup. That automatically draws attention to Bretman rather than you. And he also put Bretman in a time-lapse audio, which instantly made me forget that this was Benny's video because it now is the Bretman show instead of the Benny show, or both the Bretman and Benny show. So now let's move on to Ashley and Nikita. So the thumbnail and title would have instantly caught my attention because it's just so dramatic. I definitely would have clicked on it, and we finally got to see Ashley open up because she kind of kept to herself. And I feel like this made her stand out because while the others were doing funny makeup challenges, she did a zeros video, which instantly makes it stand out because of the contrast. So now let's move on to Gabriel and Nima's. The thumbnail is very artsy. I would have clicked it. I feel like the title needed some razzle dazzle because people post 100 Zodiac videos a day. So what makes yours stand out? I feel like this video could have been good, but editing ruined it. And this was because he didn't have enough time to edit, so the video felt choppy and low quality. So let's move on to Kayla and Louis' video. The title needed a change, but the thumbnail was cute. She admits herself that editing is not her forte, so I'll give her some slack, but I feel like she cut out some of the most important parts. It was mostly just them talking in the intro, which gives enough time for a lot of people to just click out. Third collab was Ashley and Nikita. This challenge didn't have an individual winner. The person who got eliminated this challenge was Gabriel. And now we're going to move on to episode 4, which is the finale. So this episode starts off with the contestants in their hotel rooms, studying how they can't believe that during the finale, reflecting on their life journeys, and saying how much it would mean to them if they won. So there were no mini challenges today. So the main challenge was to create the next mega makeup moment. And while they were doing their makeup, Benny and Ashley kind of had this like back and forth, but it wasn't really serious. So today's guest judge alongside James and Ravina was Mario. So now let's judge the looks. Ashley's look was inspired by the Off-White clothing brand. She liked the concept of stripping fashion down to labels, so she decided to do that but with her face. I feel like the look would have definitely started a trend, but it's not original because it's based on the Off-White clothing brand. So while yes, it might have started a trend, it would have been called the Off-White makeup trend rather than the Ashley trend. So now let's move on to Benny. His look was inspired by Ariana Grande's Dangerous Woman bunny mask, which is already starting off to a shaky start because while the look isn't trademarked by Ariana Grande, that look is just always going to be associated with her. So it didn't really feel original because anybody could easily just recreate that look themselves because of Ariana. He did this look because it was to show how he's very quiet, sweet, and innocent, but he's also very fierce. James did like a check-in with the contestants while they were doing their look. He would give them like feedback and stuff. James warned him not to do that look because it's already been done before. He also felt like the mask didn't really go well with the look because you're basically covering yourself. Benny didn't listen to him. He went ahead with it anyway. His look was getting mocked all over TikTok. Like, I literally saw this all in real time.
If 2 plus 2 is 4, right? And 5 plus 5 is 10, okay. What the is this? If 2 plus 2 is 4, right? And 5 plus 5 is 10, okay. What
Let's move on to Kaylin's look. Her look was to represent how people perceive her versus who she really is. I liked the look, but the placement was what threw it off. She put the negative side at the front facing the camera. She also put flowers on the negative side. She put the crown on the right side of her face of the positive attributes that's not facing the camera. It kind of faded in with the balloons. If she would have put the positive attributes on the left side of her face facing the camera, the crown would have stood out. My favorite looks were Ashley first, Kaylin second, and Benny third. So the person who won Instant Influencer Season 1, hosted by James Charles, was Ashley. And a lot of people were not happy about this. There was a lot of controversy about the winner. A lot of people felt like she only won because of her life story, which I disagree because she was the most mature, locked in, and kept her head up strong. So I'm just finishing this video off on my phone because my camera ran out of storage. So life after Instant Influencers, like I said, Ashley won. And a part of the prize the winner gets is a collab video with James Charles. So they did a collab video which is still on his channel where he recreated her finale look. All of the contestants gained a lot of recognition from the show and went on to work with magazines, brand deals, and celebrities. So what are the contestants doing now? Kaylin hasn't posted in 3 years on YouTube, but is still semi-active on Instagram and Twitter. And Nico hasn't posted on YouTube in 4 years, but he's still active on Instagram and TikTok. Brittany hasn't posted on YouTube in a year, but her posting schedule was inconsistent before she stopped. Gabriel still posts on YouTube here and there and on his Instagram, but he just posts stories. Ashley completely wiped her YouTube channel and clearly has no videos on her channel. She's not that active on Instagram, her Twitter is deactivated, and her last time posting on TikTok was in 2021. Benny also wiped his YouTube of all his videos, but instead he changed his name to deactivate it with the white profile picture and white banner. And he also changed the name of his Instagram, so no one can really find his account anymore. Now let's talk about why James Charles is no longer the host of Instant Influencer. James was supposed to have a second season of Instant Influencer, but YouTube came out in 2021 and said that he would not be having a second season. And a lot of people have speculated that this was because of the controversy that came out of him texting young boys in 2021. So YouTube removed James as the host of the show and gave it to ZHC, who is a popular YouTuber which you guys might be familiar with. He was the YouTuber who did like custom videos with other YouTubers and TikTokers back in 2020. His videos were really popular. He won the trending page like every day. That's pretty much the recap of James Charles' show Instant Influencer, where the contestants are now and why he is allegedly not the host of Instant Influencer anymore. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video.